Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. In today's episode, on episode 5 of the DomTruthBeToldPodcast, we're going to talk about, does attraction and lust affects the relationship more because you're sleeping with your partner rather than building a relationship with your partner. And then we're going to talk about, should you date a woman for her looks or should you date a woman for what she brings to the table? Now, in this scenario, we're talking about when you sleeping with a woman and you are, having intercourse with a woman. Is that stopping the relationship process from building because it's more lust and attraction than it is actually getting to know who you're with? And that's a tricky balance because if a woman says, okay, I don't want to have sex, for at least 50 days, while we together. As a man, you have to be able to accept that because now you're getting to know more about her, whether y'all go on dates together, whether y'all do activities together, whether y'all spend time together, if she have a place, you at her place, or if you have a place, she at your place, or when y'all out on dates. It's important to understand that when it comes to being with a woman has a certain look to her and she has a certain attraction to her, that as men, we automatically want to hit. Got a fatty, whether she got big boobs, whether she's just very seductive and she's very, attractive in terms of, the way she looks. But at the same time, I always say beautiful women now to me are like cars. You look at them, but you never getting in one. I for one don't have a license, don't have a permit, and I don't plan to drive just because of my own paranoia. And you should never really be on the road if not right up here as far as your nerves and things like that. Not to think I don't think I wouldn't be able to pass eventually, but that costs money and I can't be wasting money on something that I don't even necessarily plan to do. So I'll probably be taking the train or taking the bus. It really doesn't matter to me, for the rest of my life, and I'm fine with that. But back to what I was saying, that when it comes to being with a woman, your lust for the woman, does that outweigh more getting to know the woman? Because now today, in today's day and age, they say when you're with a woman, what are the reasons you with her for, and it can't just be all about lust. It can't be just all about, sleeping with the woman. It can't just be all about, having sex with the woman for her body, because yes, sex is important, intimacy is important, but also getting to know the woman, getting to understand her likes, her dislikes, her mood swings, how is she when y'all watching the movie together, does she talk throughout the movie, does she like lay against your shoulder, does she, like gravitate towards you, far as being comfortable with you in a setting, how is she when it comes to holding hands and things of that nature. Things like that, to me, it just seems a little bit more important, because you're really getting to know the scope of the woman. And for her perspective, just in case if she's only been with guys who only wanted to sleep with her and leave her, afterwards, I'm not saying that don't exist, because it definitely does, and I'm not even saying this if that's the right way to go about it. I'm just saying that when it comes to being with a woman, those things that I mentioned, matters more than, the intimacy that you guys are going to share together, in the bed. It's hard to stop attraction, but you do have to have discipline. You do have to have discernment. You do have to understand at the end of the day, that only lasts for maybe 10 minutes, 8 minutes, maybe 12 minutes as far as sleeping with the woman and intercourse, but really getting to understand who she is, being able to get to understand, what she represents, what she stands for, what kind of woman she is, Can we have a conductive conversation? Can we have a productive conversation? You know, those things to me matter more. Now, this is surface level stuff. I'm not saying anything that's like groundbreaking. I'm not saying like, oh wow, this is some brand new discovery that I did not know of. No, of course. But at the same time, I'm saying as men, so we don't get put in this box where they just think all we care about is sex, all we care about is intimacy. Well, if you're a woman with, a figure, you're a woman with a fatty, you're a woman with big boobs, big breasts, how are you not going to attract a certain type of male? That's just, disingenuous. But at the same time, you can also play it by the book, and she could think she's seducing you. She could think you want her, but then you go ahead and flip it on her and be like, I want to continue to get to know you before me and you even get into a bed together. Sex to me is not the most important thing. It's just not. I haven't had sex for 1 year. 1 year. I've slept with one woman my whole entire life. I'm 30 years old. I've slept with one woman my whole entire life. Period. And I'm proud to say that because I got to know the woman. I got to understand the woman. I've known the woman for literally all my life. All my life, almost all my life, and almost known her for darn near 15 years. And I was with her for 6 years. I'm talking about my ex. And she basically, took my virginity. That was the first woman I ever slept with. And I'm just a normal, regular cat, just a normal guy. I'm the average particular guy. No car, one job, not afraid to say it. I live with my parents and things of that nature. But at the same time, I had more to respect about her and not trying to be like the guys who were behind me. I wasn't trying to be like those guys, who only cared about her to sleep with her and, got her pregnant and, things of that nature. That wasn't going to be Dominic. That wasn't going to be Dom. That wasn't going to be the Grand Prince. I wasn't going to do that to myself. It took a very long time for me to even, come to grips with, if I was ready to even sleep with her or not. It took time, man. It did. And she was very patient with me. She was very honest with me. At one point I didn't even know how to put on a condom, as funny as that is at the time when I was in my early 20s. Slept with her when I was like 22 or 23. So that just tells you right there from my own personal experience, I didn't value sex over than getting to know the woman that I'm with on a more, romantic basis. There was other ways that we were able to, comfort each other, Gave her back rubs, I don't even like feet, and I gave her foot rubs, she gave me massages, she would brush my hair for me and things like that when I had, waves, and we really were bound together, and I was very appreciative of that, because then when you do get to the intimacy part, that intimacy part only strengthens and grows because you guys took the time to really understand who you're with, why you're with them, and taking it to the next step, So when they say body count, a woman can ask me, I said, I slept with one woman my whole life. Boom, just like that. And they almost gonna be shell-shocked because you don't hear every day from an average male, 30 years old, I only slept with one woman. One. Not 5, not 6, not 9, not 10. One woman. Not no clubs, not no strip clubs, not no bars. Don't do any of those things. I'm a regular cat, regular typical life. And I'm only saying from my personal experience to let that male know out there, if you do have a woman, who craving sex and craving intimacy, let her know, that's not the reason why I decided to be with you. That will show her something. You also teaching her discipline. You also teaching her discernment, because you're going to be the first guy that she come across where you don't value her for just her body. That's very rare, and not a lot of men have that. I happen to have that. I happen to possess that. And I use that as one of my strengths. I have weaknesses as well, but at the same time, like anybody, but at the same time, it's the things that you value with a woman versus things you're just ultimately getting from a woman. So that's why I said when it comes to lust and attraction and intimacy, those things are not the most important thing, and that is not the reason why you should be with a woman. Now, if y'all have boundaries and know what the setting is, meaning this is just a one night stand, nothing more, nothing less, that's completely different because you're not dating the woman. It's a one night stand. It's a one night stand. Y'all have a good time together, and then y'all go about y'all business. But if you're dating a woman and you know her man and and everything like that, and that's your woman, that's different. And in today's generation, women classify us as all we care about is sex. I just told you my personal experience. That ain't for me, because all I don't care about is sex. I care about being around the woman. I care about getting to know who she is. I care about knowing what her hobbies are, what her likes and her interests are. And that don't mean we just not going to touch each other at all. No, like I said, massages, neck rubs, foot massages, back massages, things of that nature. So you're still technically being intimate. You're just being intimate in a different way. And you're also classifying and showing her that, I'm not your typical gentleman who just care about your body and care about lust. As I said before, nowadays all women start looking the same to me. Light skin, short, weave, bangs, ponytail, big breasts, fatties. Some don't, some are just, regular butt size or whatever like that. But it's not the most important thing. And I feel as though as men, when it comes to how women can see us, they need to be let known that ain't the most important thing to me, baby. I don't just care about your body. I don't just care about your figure. That don't matter to me. What I care about is, can we have a conversation together? Do we laugh together? What's your favorite show? What's your hobbies? Do you work out? Do you go to the gym? Things of that nature. And then when you're able to, bridge the gap and divide the two, then she's able to understand that, oh, you're a different kind of dude, We ain't even sleeping together, we're really getting to know each other. Because nowadays, women love to say, I don't think men like women anymore. I don't think men like black women anymore. I don't think men can handle a black woman anymore. And it's not any of those things. It's we rather not tolerate a black woman no more, if she doesn't like us for who we are. Or if she's just trying to, blow us dry for what we got as far as our money in terms of that nature, if you have any money at all to give, it's not that. I'm with a black woman proudly, and I don't have any discussions on how a woman's attitude is, if she's a little ghetto, if she's a little street, if she's a 304, things of that nature. That's probably the environment that she was raised in. She probably didn't have a father figure, or she probably didn't have, a mother to be able to tell her right from wrong. So I try not to judge, but it doesn't mean at the end of the day, there's a certain level of respect that the woman must have for who she's with. And if you were telling the woman, I'd rather not worry about sleeping with you, I want to get to know you, these are basic level things. Spend time with you, be around each other, if you have kids, I welcome that as well, etc., etc., because that's just showing this is something you value more far as in terms of her as a woman than her intimacy portion than just sleeping with a woman. So, in conclusion, lust and attraction, it does bind men and women together. And yes, at times, you are going to have that time frame where you're going to be able to sleep with the woman. But it's not the most important thing when it comes to getting to know a woman, getting to be around a woman when you're dating a woman. And as I said before, if it's a one night stand, that's all it is. It's a one night stand. Y'all sleep together, y'all have sex, and then boom, y'all go out on your merry way. No feelings attached at all. But when it comes to being with a woman and dating a woman, and that's your girlfriend and everything like that, and you her boyfriend and everything like that, valuing, understanding who she is, spending time with her, learning her environment, learning who she be around, learning what makes her tick, learning her mood swings, things of that caliber, things of that nature, that is something that matters more than just sleeping with her altogether. Because at the end of the day, if you're deciding to be with this woman long term, that's not going to be the number one reason why you with her. Next topic. What matters more? What a woman brings to the table, similar to what I just said, or her looks? For me, it's all about what a woman brings to the table because looks don't even matter that much. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I almost feel like every woman start looking the same to me after a while. All got the same looks, got the same filters, got the same hairstyles, etc., etc., etc. So, looks for me is not the most important thing. What matters to Dominic, what matters to Dom, is what you're bringing to the table. How do you make me better? How do I make you better? Because it can't just be how do you make me better? How can I make you better? But what a woman brings to the table, as far as her time, as far as her energy, as far as her attitude, as far as her mood, as far as what you can learn from her, as far as what she can teach you. Try not to judge her too much, especially if you know she got a number of set of bodies that she been with, knowing the situation and things like that. Being safe at the same time and being cautious and being aware, but also at the same time understanding that, looks are one thing. Everyone can have a certain look to them. Women, they could be very beautiful, they could be very voluptuous and things of that nature. But at the same time, what is she bringing to the table? Why should you be the woman that I choose to be with? What makes you different from other women? Because at the end of the day, you got to be chosen. And this isn't some groundbreaking analogy. This is common sense. At the end of the day, as a woman, you are chosen by who you're with. There's a reason why they chose you. It's a reason why you stood out. It's a reason why you're with that person. You have something about you that's probably appealing to the certain male, and that's the reason why you're with the male. It's not on an empty scale here when it comes to who you're with. I always say this: you're only looking for one person. You're looking for one person to date, looking for one person to be with and spend your life with, if it gets that far. You're not looking for multiple women unless you just love dating around and things of that nature. When you're trying to settle down and just find a woman for yourself, what are the things that you're looking for? What are the qualifications? And does that woman meet those qualifications? It's very tricky in today's generation, especially with TikTok and things of that nature, because yes, you could view a TikTok video, and I don't. I just watch YouTube content creators who do that, and I can automatically be like, I don't want to deal with any of that, because one, just because social media is a platform and we all love it and we all use it, doesn't mean we need to always put our business out there. It doesn't mean that every little thing that happens in our personal life should be put for the world to see. It may get you clicks, it may get you views, it may get you some even, more followers. But at the end of the day, depending on the situation, how are you representing that person that you were with? And how are you representing that person who you probably still with, or if you were just about to be done with, and now y'all putting your situation, well, you in particular is putting your situation on TikTok and exposing whatever it is that you want to expose. The next man could come across that and be like, nah, shawty, I don't want to deal with you. No offense, that was a little crazy and messed up that you did. But at the same time, when you got a platform like TikTok, you got a platform like Instagram, these things are what people talk about, So it's just a part of today's society. Not for me, because personally, I would never want any of my personal business, what I'm doing with my women, where we've been at, we get into an argument, something of a disagreement. I don't never want that to be exposed to nobody, period. And a lot of other people don't have that mindset. They want people to know. They want the world to know for some weird reason. And I think that's a very, very, very horrible thing, because now you got people from the outside who not even in your situation commenting on it. But you put it to the public, so the public is going to comment on it. You have to have enough discernment and have enough discipline to not want to put it to the public, not want to put it to a platform, to give it open for discussion, to give it open for debate, to have people in your comment sections talking about your situation. Everybody has a choice, and some people choose the wrong choice. And you can't stop them from that. You can't save them from that. But at the same time, when it comes to what do a woman bring to the table? What are the things that she have that interest you? What are the things that make you want to talk to this woman? What are the things that she offered to you that you didn't have before that could benefit you going down the line? And this is this is different things for different women. Obviously, not every woman is the same, and not all women are equal. Some got good things, some got horrible things. Some can bring great things to the table, some can bring nothing to the table. But those are the things that matter. What do you bring to the table as a woman? What are the reasons why I should date you? What makes you different from the others? More than that filter on Instagram that make her sparkle, that figure on Instagram that make you like that picture, more than those things, because that's a look. For better or worse, that's a look. And she look good, she got a fatty, she got big boobs, she got, something that's different. Not to me, because like I said, all women start looking the same after a while, especially if you see them constantly. Nothing is like in secret anymore. If you got a fine woman and she posting herself to social media and whatnot, now everybody get to see it. And if you with that woman, you like, dang, I wish I can only see it, but when it's a platform for the world to see, everybody get to see it if she chooses to post it. And you just have to be understanding of that and not be naive, not have no insecurities about what she posting, as long as she posting it within bounds, especially if she's in a relationship. If she's in a relationship and she's just going crazy with it, that's a little bit different. You might have to have a conversation with her about that. Just because it's all about respect for yourself at the end of the day. It's not to say you got to cover up every little piece of your body and look like a nun. No. But it just, representing yourself in a certain way, putting yourself in a certain fashion so you don't be classified as a 304, or you don't be classified as slutty and things of that type of nature. These are just words at the end of the day. Don't mean that woman is necessarily is, but man, perception is always to reality, in a sense where the perception of what you post and what you look like, that's how the public gonna view you. That's just the rules. So at the end of the day, valuing a woman for what she brings to the table over valuing her looks and her beauty is what matters more when it comes to being in a relationship with a woman or dating a woman, because you're not going to date her for her looks. You're going to date her for her mindset, her mentality, what she brings to the table, and how she can make you better and how you can make her better. This is episode 5 of the Truth Be Told podcast. Like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching.